and welcome to In the Black, the podcast for DeFree. I'm Tamika Stembridge, your host, the Executive Director of the DeFree Global Foundation. I am always honored to have our co-host, our CEO and founder, Dr. DeForest B. Soaries Jr. on the line. How are you, sir?
I'm inspired because, as I tell all of my old friends, you have to hang around with younger people. And I'm thrilled because, A, you are a young person that has taken the mantle of leadership on a brand and a dream and a vision that I started, but you're taking it to new levels. And B, I'm excited because of this Miss Karleen Roy, our charismatic, influential guest who I met in Indianapolis, and everybody had told me about her. And I thought it was all hype. And then when I met her, she exceeded all of my expectations. So welcome, Miss Roy, to the In the Black podcast.
Oh my God.
That's really, can you go on the road with me and give me that introduction, wherever I go, just be my hype man, that's what I need.
I'd be happy
it's
to.
It's an honor to be here.
Oh yeah, you have really motivated me, and you've inspired me because, I came along when everybody was in some aspect of the movement, the black movement, and we were going down different lanes, but we were all headed towards freedom land. And I've become so distressed today at what I see happening that I want you to talk more about. But the reason I love you so much is because you're one of those rare personalities who has figured out a way to take charisma and to take information and to take talent and to do good with it even while you do well. That's why I love Tamika. Tamika's a lawyer. She's got an MBA. Tamika could make 4 times as much money working 2 days a week at a big law firm. And she's dedicated to this mission of the DeFree Global Foundation. And I just, to the extent that I can be of value to you young people, I want to do so. And to the extent that I can challenge you to think about some things you might not have thought about, I want to do that also.
Well, I'm going to jump in and say you definitely are adding value. We had the Your DeFree for young adults, the supplement guide, as part of my event, Owning the Block. And the moment that the guests got their hands on that book, they were just so overcome because It was just the most basic information that we never knew. I opened this book and I'm like, this is like learning about finances 101, and why don't we have this information available to us, available to young people, and whoever wrote it out and laid it out, it was in such a simple way and easy to absorb. So you absolutely are adding value, and it was such a treat to give it out to everybody. So hopefully everyone got their money up. For the next time I see them, I'm going to check in and let you guys know, but you definitely are adding value, and thank you guys for even putting that book together.
Well, Tamika, first of all, thank you for completing the work to make that happen. This is the first time I've ever heard anybody say that.
I was going to say, that makes me feel good. It's a labor of love that we've been working on for a few years now. We have about 11 different books like that, if you could imagine, for different audiences. And the young adult one was really important for us because you're right, nobody ever taught us. If you're a first-generation college student, even second or third, your parents encourage you to go to college, get a job, and go out and take over the world, and never really taught you how to balance a checkbook or save for retirement or pay student loans. And so it was important for us to get that content down. One of the things that I really, I'm fangirling a little bit only because, most people will, if they follow you on Instagram or they follow the Vanity Group, your business, they see the glitz and the glam of what you actually produce. But now you guys have really gotten into a way of showing the grind behind the glitz and the glam of what you guys produce, and really what it means to be an entrepreneur in the entertainment space, an entrepreneur of excellence in the entertainment space. And so I first want to applaud you. Tell us a little bit about how you got started, and then I want to talk about where you are literally today. COVID-19 is where we're sitting, and what that looks like from an entrepreneurial perspective.
I had an opportunity to work at Sony Music. I worked for Grammy artist Neo I worked at Violator Management, and then I got my dream job of working at Bad Boy as the senior executive assistant to Sean Diddy Combs. And that is when my world changed, because I was just exposed to so much, exposed to life, exposed to travel, exposed to excellence, exposed to business. I mean, he is notoriously known as one of the hardest working men in show business, and he's a media giant. So to be his right hand and to be able to sponge all of this, 5 days a week or 7 days a week, because I never had a day off, but to be able to absorb and work next to someone as iconic as him, I wouldn't trade it for the world, even though it's like kiss your family goodbye, you're going to the Marines. But what I learned and what I picked up along the way was it's priceless. But in my job, I pretty much was the nucleus to his world and the heartbeat as far as getting anything done in the world of Sean Combs. And one area that I really excelled at, and I naturally did very well, was the events. We did tons of events working for Mr. Combs, where there was corporate events, where there was the twins' birthday party, where there was Mother's Day for Kim Porter, like whatever it was. I really enjoyed it and I really excelled at it. So when it was time for me to resign, because I thought I had reached the ceiling, and I told him, I said, I'm going to resign. I'm going to start my own business. And at that time, I had no idea what it was, but I always thought you don't work for someone like a Sean Combs or any iconic figure and then go do a regular schmegular 9 to 5. Like, I just thought it was whack and not the best. It just wasn't a smart move. As the rappers say, your next move got to be your best move.
Best move, yep.
That's how I thought about it. So over maybe like 2-3 years, I was freelancing, doing events for people. It could be celebrities. My phone just started ringing, and celebrities like, hey, I hear that you're the go-to girl. I need an event done. I would be like, okay, when? They'll say tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay. Or, hey, I hear you're the go-to girl. I want to do a party. Where? In Paris. When? In 72 hours. Can I put you on a plane and you go there and you figure it out? So after 2-3, and these are real life examples. So after 2-3 years of these whirlwind phone calls of just, hey, I understand you're the go-to girl in show business who can do these over-the-top events, a light bulb went off, and I was like, this is a business, and I need to make it real, and I need to, be serious about it. And now we're approaching 7 years. 7 years later, we have a full-fledged business, full-fledged employees, staff, beautiful office, health, insurance, workers' comp, things that I knew nothing about. Dr. Soaries, please write a book about that.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about what I was doing. I knew that I innately could do events. I knew that working in show business and working with talent came natural to me. I knew how to lead a team. I knew how to be confident and own the room. But as far as like what it takes to actually be a CEO and the operations and the finance of the business, I didn't know. And I was learning by mistakes, and just learning and growing as the business was growing. So every mistake I made has actually been in my favor, because you don't know what you don't know. So you have to go through these things and experience them so that you don't make the same mistake twice. So that's my story as far as how I got started. And with COVID, we actually were entering our biggest season. So spring, right after red carpet season, spring is our heaviest season. So we were in the middle of South by Southwest, Coachella, and some other big capstone events, and they all got canceled within a week. So in a week's time, we lost probably close to $800,000 in revenue just for us, for the company. And for a small business, that is a substantial loss. Like, it's like Amazon could take a hit for $800,000. Coca-Cola,
right.
Ruth Chris, all these stores, they can take a hit. For us, like, it completely would have paralyzed our longevity in the business. So I had to quickly make some very tough decisions as a boss to make sure once we get past COVID that there actually is a home and an office and a business for my team to return to. So that's where I am right now with business.
Hey y'all, what's up? This is Karleen Roy, founder and CEO of the Vanity Group, and I am here with dfree, trying to secure the bag.
How old were you when you decided to leave your full-time job with Mr. Combs?
I was 30 years old, and let me tell you, Dr. Soaries, I was having a midlife crisis. Can you imagine? At 30, you know nothing, but I was like, I'm 30, there's something more for me. This is the world, hear me roar. So I thought that it was 30, and then like, it was time for a change. I was a baby then. I knew nothing in hindsight.
Right. We do have a book we do have a dfree supplement for entrepreneurs, which is the
I need that.
entrepreneurial version of the book you have, dfree for young adults. So as you evolved into your business, who gave you some advice? I mean, who could you trust to help you navigate some of the challenges that you had as a startup?
Absolutely. One, my father was a business owner. My dad worked in the automobile industry, and for all of my life, my father owned car dealerships. So
Great.
being around entrepreneurs and being around risk takers is all I knew. But it's so funny. As my business was growing and budding, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So this amazing, sharp brain man who could like attack anything, he was fading away from me.
Wow.
And there were so many instances where I said, man, if my dad was the man that I knew growing up to be, I would be on top of the world. And I felt like I was losing a gem because he would have been my first line of defense for any questions. I really leaned into my previous employer, and for any young person that's leaving, whenever you leave a job or whenever you move on, it doesn't have to be under terrible circumstances or you left because you're upset and you're never going to talk to them again. I had a really strong relationship with Mr. Combs and the Combs Enterprises. So a lot of the people who were guiding me at that time were somehow affiliated with him or still work for him. My attorney, the person I used for my business manager, used to be Puff's banker, the person that I went to for my HR needs when I had questions about taxes or I didn't know how to set up a business bank account. I really leaned into the leadership or some of the people that I had crossed paths with when I worked at Bad Boy. One thing Mr. Combs is a genius at is identifying talent and great talent. So I'm like, if this is the best of the best and I have these people on speed dial, like I need to call these people. So they were really instrumental in the beginning of just helping me get my ducks in a row for being in business by myself.
Yeah, that's great. You know, Tamika, we always talk to people in general, but young people in particular about relationships and being willing to listen. You know, not all of us have parents who are great business people, but the key is to find someone who knows what you don't know and connect with them so that you can learn what they have to teach. A lot of us don't want to learn from people who have been there already, and that I can see why you're so successful. Tamika,
So,
I can see
Dr.
why you
Story,
brought her to us too.
you know, one of our big focuses from a dfree perspective, and we talk to our staff a lot about this, is just operating from a position of excellence. And I think, you know, one of the things that is not necessarily, one is rarely taught, if anybody teaches it, but I just think having that focus on excellence is really important. Can you speak briefly to how that kind of played a part in how you manage your business and how you grew as a professional and then into an entrepreneur? Because I just think it's important for people to understand that I don't want to even give my opinion. I'm going to let you talk about it. Go ahead. Just go.
I can talk about excellence all day, but I'm going to keep it brief. I grew up in a very strong household. Like I said, my father was a really successful business owner. He was in Black Enterprise and all these things. So I grew up in a very strong household, and they were very much rooted in the community and a power couple of, let's say, like the 80s and the 90s. So I grew up in a house that was educated, all about Black excellence, and then to go to an institution like Howard University, which is a melting pot of Black excellence. No matter where you come from, if you're going to a Howard University, you are the best of the best in whatever your talent is. So to come and now you have this melting pot, and all this amazing, tough competition of people, young Black students, scholars who want to win. It's the best, some of the best formative years of your life. And then, my transition of working with Mr. Combs, who is the king of Black excellence, it's like, that's all I've ever been around my whole life. So that's all I ever know. I'm sure my employees would tell you that I'm a maniac, because I'm always like, y'all, if it's not excellent, if it's not tight, we cannot do it. So I have an unfair advantage as far as excellence, because that's just been the world that I have been blessed to be in my whole life. But it's really something that has to be taught. I've met people and they don't understand it. It's so foreign to them. But to me, it really is like my left hand. Like, it's all I know. And I hope that I'm a boss that projects that to the young women who work in my orbit.
When I grow up,
I want to be a billionaire.
billionaire.
What if we were all billionaires?
That looks like legacy,
Investment.
property.
That looks like me.
That looks like me.
That looks like me.
But there's a first step to this.
You've got to get debt free.
You gotta join the $1 Billion Challenge. The $1 Billion Challenge.
Yes, today.
We'll be waiting. We're building billionaires.
Listen, Ms. Roy, I have to tell you that when we started in 2005, this whole concept of financial freedom as a focus. I mean, all of us are always concerned about money and concerned about our future. But for me as a minister, it was never my priority. It was always an adjunct. And in 2005, I decided that I just could not spend the rest of my career watching people make good money but always be broke, or always be broke when they could be making good money. So we began to focus. We had the content, which is now growing daily, as Tamika described it. We're doing supplements. We've got content. We're producing media products. We had strategy, because being an old civil rights person, I understood the concept of building a movement strategically through partnerships. What we lacked was a brand. And, by 2005, whatever you did, it had to have a brand personality. Otherwise, all you have is content and strategy. And so after doing numerous focus groups, I came up with this word, dfree, because what we realized was that people were willing to say, I'm trying to be dfree, who were not willing to say, I'm broke and drowning in debt. So we've been building dfree as a brand, and the goal of the brand really is to impact the culture. We want to make it as popular to be rich and to be financially free as it is to be broke and be stealing cable from your neighbor. So,
or balling and not knowing how your money is coming in or how it's going out. It's just like hood rich. Like
you say it much better than I do. So let me give you dfree today. I'm just here, Karleen. Here's a gift. You now own dfree. Tell me the three things you're going to do to turn dfree into not only a culturally relevant brand, but a culturally, generationally impactful brand.
Okay, three things. The first thing I would do is continue to do the work. Like, head down and do the work, because I feel like when you have a dope brand, other dope people gravitate to it, and it's almost like it's word of mouth. So I would do what you're doing as far as like doing the work and being excellent, because it's happening, it's bubbling, and like the word is getting out there. So you're doing the first thing already. The second thing I would do as the owner of dfree, this is a great question. The second thing I would do as the owner of dfree is make sure that I have some strong lieutenant or a lieutenant with me, and I think that you have already done that because you have identified Tamika. I think every boss needs a very strong right hand, because if you're big picture and they are details, and you guys can collaborate and make harmony together so that the work that you speak of and you dream of actually gets done and it gets executed. And then the third thing I would do as the owner of dfree is I would make it a little sexy. I would make sure that my branding is on point. I would make sure that my branding is consistent. I would make sure that there is brand continuity but amongst anything that we put out into the world. And that's where I would start with my 3 tips and my 3 top deliverables as the owner of dfree.
Good. Now I'm gonna call you next week and ask for 4, 5, and 6. But I appreciate 1, 2, and 3 because I think your generation is more passionate about economics and finance than any previous generation. But to your previous point, I think your generation lacks the tools and therefore has aspirations without strategy. And I'm focused on the strategy. I'm giving it to Tamika for the distribution, and we could use your help in the marketing and the branding. And we need people like you to do what you do and allow us to come alongside of you and provide you with content that you can make sexy. I'm too old for sex, but
jazzy. Y'all can say jazzy.
Yeah, I'm cool with jazz. Because together, with our experience in content and your reach and personality, I think we can really, really make a difference.
I got a bill. Maybe when I first got my employees, I got a bill from the state of New York for roughly $3,000. This is when I knew that we needed to be educated as young Black business owners. And I got this bill from Department of Finance. I'm freaking out. And the bill was because I ran payroll before I had workers' comp.
Right.
And I called the Small Business Administration and went off on them. And I said, how is anybody supposed to know that this is even a foul on the play for a business owner and for a small business to be assessed $3,000? That's a lot of money.
Right.
That's a lot of cash to just go out the window. And I said to them on the phone, I was like, you guys need to be educating small business owners instead of holding them liable for things like this. It's like we just don't know that they exist. So to have a company like yours that's actually trying to educate and prepare people is completely priceless, because it's like I think that's what's going to get us over the hump of always getting the short end of the stick, is being educated and just knowing the information that is out there so we don't run into this.
Well, listen, I want to thank you. I could talk to you for 3 hours a day.
I know.
I really appreciate it. Tamika, thank you so much. I would have never met her in life because she lives in a different world than I live in. I live in the old people's world. She lives in the young people's world.
And thank you guys for asking me to be here. I really believe in what you guys are doing and a fan, and however I can support and help raise awareness. I totally want to be a part of that. So consider me an ally on this side.
Well, we got you. We recorded that, so if you forget it,
you got it on camera.
That's right. We got it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, this, guys, has been another episode of dfree's In the Black podcast with our amazing guest, Ms. Karleen Roy, CEO and founder of the Vanity Group. Karleen, where can people follow you to see what the Vanity Group is doing, see what you're doing as a boss? Let us know where people can discover the world of Karleen Roy.
Right.
Thank you. The best, easiest place would be this amazing platform called Instagram. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at Karleen Roy, Karleen Roy, in the Vanity Group, at the Vanity Group, and you can see all of our whirlwind craziness, Dr. Soaries. Don't you go look at it, because we don't want you to judge us now.
No, I'm non-judgmental. I'm going there right now. No judging. No judging.
But it's lit, it's fun, it's informative. We show the grit and the glam, and we hope to inspire young people by just being ourselves along the way. So
great.
That's that.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. This is In the Black, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the DeFree in the Black podcast. Our goal is that you stay in the black, which means that you should subscribe to the podcast, go to the website, join the $1 Billion Challenge, become a part of the DeFree financial freedom movement.